Your only sister's wedding day, the happiest moment of her life. And your own twin brother walks in with the one woman you begged him never to touch, the woman who tore your world apart 5 years ago. He smiles like it's nothing. Everyone gasps. Your blood turns to ice. You realize this isn't an accident. This is war. But what he doesn't know is that for the last 6 weeks I've been sitting on proof that could send him to federal prison for the next 20 years. The question isn't whether I'll use it. It is how loudly I want the hammer to fall on the happiest day of his miserable life. Keep listening, because what I did next still makes my own mother flinch when she tells the story. My name is Ethan Caldwell. I'm 38 years old, born and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I teach APUS history at Chattanooga Central High and coach varsity baseball. I'm the guy who shows up early, stays late, grades papers at Waffle House at 10 p.m. because the lights are bright and the coffee never stops. People trust me, kids look up to me. I've spent my whole life trying to be the steady one. My twin brother, Evan, came into this world exactly 7 minutes after me, and he spent every day since trying to prove those 7 minutes don't matter. Same face, same height, same voice, but inside we're night and day. Where I saved, he spent. Where I planned, he gambled. Where I fell in love once and got burned, he laughed and kept the match. 5 years ago, in the fall of 2020, I was engaged to a woman named Lyra Whitlock. She was a pediatric ICU nurse at Children's Hospital at Erlanger, the kind of person who could calm a terrified 6-year-old with one smile. We met at a Lookouts game, dated for 2 years, and I put a ring on her finger the day after Thanksgiving. 2 months later, I found out she'd been sleeping with Evan for almost 6 months. He didn't even try to hide it once I knew. He said, "You'll find someone else, bro. You always land on your feet." Lyra moved out the same week. I haven't spoken her name out loud since. Fast forward to June 2025. My little sister Ellie is getting married to the nicest guy on planet Earth, a firefighter named Matt Brennan. The wedding's at the Grand Falloon on Lookout Mountain. String lights, mountain view, barbecue, and banana pudding. 300 of our closest family and friends. I'm the man of honor because Ellie says I'm the only person who never let her down. Evan wasn't even supposed to be invited after the Lyra disaster, but Mom begged. He's still your brother, Ethan. Blood don't wash off. So his name went on the list. He never RSVP'd. 2 weeks before the wedding, I got a call from an old friend, Caleb Mathis, who's now a special agent with the FBI's Knoxville Field Office, Public Corruption Squad. Caleb and I played Legion Ball together when we were 15. He never beats around the bush. "Ethan," he said, voice low, "this is unofficial, but your brother's about to be indicted. Pandemic relief fraud." He applied for 14 different PPP and EIDL loans using fake payrolls for shell construction companies. Over $2.8 million. Some of the applications list you as vice president and use your address in North Chattanooga. I'm giving you a heads up because you gonna get a target letter if you don't allow your up yesterday. I felt the floor drop out from under me again. I didn't sleep for 3 days. I pulled every filing from the Tennessee Secretary of State, printed bank records I could still access from a joint account we had in college that somehow never got closed. Screenshotted everything. I built a folder an inch thick and locked it in the fire safe in my classroom. Then came Ellie's wedding day. June 14th, 2025. 84 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, the mountain looking like God himself polished it. Ellie walked down the aisle to an acoustic version of Tennessee Whiskey. I stood up there trying not to cry like an idiot. The reception kicked off. Brisket, mac and cheese, sweet tea in mason jars, everybody's dancing, and that's when the side door opened, and in walked Evan, arm around Lyra Whitlock, both of them sunburned from a beach somewhere, her in a tight white dress that was definitely not wedding guest appropriate. Every head turned, Mom dropped her plate. Dad went pale. Ellie, sweet Ellie, looked at me with pure panic in her eyes on her own wedding day. Evan just grinned that same 7 minutes late grin and raised a glass like he owned the place. I felt something inside me snap, clean and final. I stood there on that wooden deck with the mountain breeze blowing and the string lights flickering, and for the first time in 38 years I didn't feel like the older twin. I felt like the only adult in the room. Evan sauntered straight toward the head table where Ellie and Matt were cutting the banana pudding cake. Lyra clung to his arm like she was afraid someone would snatch her away. Half the guests were staring, half pretending they weren't. My cousin Travis, who's a Hamilton County deputy, actually put his sweet tea down and rested his hand on his belt like he was waiting for me to give the word. Evan raised his voice so the whole patio could hear. Little sister getting hitched and nobody thought to save me a seat at the family table? Y'all are cold. He laughed that big fake laugh he uses when he's 3 drinks in and knows everybody's uncomfortable. Ellie's lips started trembling. Matt stepped half in front of her, firefighter protective mode kicking in. Mom was already crying into Dad's shoulder. I could feel the whole day, Ellie's perfect day, sliding off the side of Lookout Mountain. I walked over slow. No hurry. The music had stopped. Somebody killed the playlist like they knew what was coming. Evan, I said, calm as Sunday morning. Step outside with me for a minute. He rolled his eyes. What, you gonna lecture me in front of everybody, Coach Caldwell? Relax, I'm family. Lyra tried to tug him toward the bar. Baby, maybe we should. He shook her off. Nah, Ethan wants to talk. Let's talk. We walked out past the patio heaters to the gravel parking lot where the valets were hiding behind. Suburbans pretending they weren't watching. The cicadas were screaming in the trees. I could see the whole city twinkling below us. Chattanooga spread out like a circuit board. Evan lit a cigarette, cupped it like we were still 17 sneaking smokes behind the dugout. So what's your problem, man? Still mad about Lyra? Ancient history. I just looked at him. Same cheekbones, same hazel eyes. Same mouth that always got him out of trouble and me into it. You applied for 14 PPP loans using my name, my address. My old tax ID from when we flipped that house in college, I said. $2.8 million, Evan. You forged my signature on half of them. The cigarette paused halfway to his lips. Caleb Mathis called me 3 weeks ago, I continued. FBI, Knoxville Public Corruption. Grand jury meets next Thursday. Guess whose name is all over the indictment? He tried to laugh it off, but it came out strangled. You're bluffing, am I? I pulled my phone out, opened the photos, turned the screen so he could see. Screenshot after screenshot. Articles of incorporation for Caldwell and Caldwell Construction, LLC. Lookout Mountain Renovations, LLC. All listing me as vice president. All with my home address on Signal Mountain Highway, all time-stamped 2021. When I was busy teaching virtual school and trying to keep teenagers from losing their minds in a pandemic. His face went gray under the parking lot lights. Lyra part of this too? I asked. Because she's on one of the bank accounts, Evan, joint signatory. That makes her a co-conspirator. He dropped the cigarette, didn't even bother stomping it out. Evan stared at the gravel like he was trying to find the right lie down there among the cigarette butts. The mountain wind picked up and whipped his too expensive jacket around him. He finally looked up, and for the first time in our lives, my little by 7 minutes brother looked small. Ethan, man, listen, he started, voice cracking. It got out of hand. I was going to pay it back, all of it. The construction thing was supposed to... Stop, I cut him off, quiet but sharp. You don't get to spin this. Not tonight. Not on Ellie's day. He swallowed hard. What do you want me to do? Leave? Fine, we'll leave. He turned toward Lyra, who was hovering by his truck like she already knew how this movie ended. No, I said. You're gonna walk back in there right now, and you're gonna tell Mom, Dad, Ellie, and Matt that you're sorry for ruining the vibe. Then you stand in front of every single person in that room and announce that you and Lyra are leaving. Because you disrespected my sister on her wedding day. You're gonna say it loud. And you're gonna mean it. He laughed, bitter and broken. Or what? You'll call your little FBI buddy and have me arrested at the dessert table? I stepped closer, close enough that only he could hear me. No, Evan, I'm not calling anybody tonight. Because tonight belongs to Ellie. But tomorrow morning, at 9 o'clock sharp, I'm walking into the federal building in downtown Chattanooga with that folder and a thumb drive. And I'm handing it over. Every forged signature. Every fake payroll. Every dollar you stole while teachers were buying their own copy paper and nurses were dying in hallways. I'm done protecting you. His eyes filled up, actual tears. I'd never seen him cry, not even when Dad's belt found his backside at 15. Ethan, please. I'm your brother. You stopped being my brother the day you climbed into bed with my fiancée and then laughed about it, I said. Tonight you just reminded me why I never should let you back in the door. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Nothing came out. I turned and walked back toward the lights and the music. Behind me, I heard Lyra whisper, Evan, let's just go. And the crunch of gravel as they headed for his leased Tahoe with the 30-day tag still on it. Inside, The playlist had started again, some Chris Stapleton song about Tennessee whiskey and bad mistakes. I found Ellie in Matt's arms, her mascara streaked but her chin high. I wrapped them both in a hug. "I'm sorry, Elle," I whispered. She squeezed me hard. "You just saved my wedding, big brother. Don't you dare apologize." Mom and Dad looked at me like they already knew the story was bigger than any of us. I just nodded once. Later. Not tonight. Evan and Lyra left without another word. Nobody clapped. Nobody cheered. They just disappeared like a bad dream you finally wake up from. The party went on until the stars burned out over Lookout Mountain. Ellie danced with Dad. Matt slow danced with his new mother-in-law. I drank one bourbon with Caleb Mathis, who happened to be a groomsman, and gave me a quiet fist bump that said everything. 3 weeks later, the indictment dropped. 14 counts. Evan took a plea for 46 months in federal prison and full restitution. Lyra got 18 months probation and had to pay back $312,000 she'd spent on purses and a condo in Gulf Shores. I still teach history, still coach baseball. Ellie and Matt are expecting their first kid in February. They're naming him Ethan if it's a boy. And every time I drive past the federal courthouse downtown, I look up at those big glass windows and feel something I never thought I'd feel where my twin is concerned.